But it makes so much sense. Like, really, so,
You
okay.
Yeah,
take
there
for
was
granted.
nowhere.
Yeah.
There was nowhere for me to pee. So that was like scary, right? Because it's like what I was an apprentice, I was a first year apprentice, there was no bathroom. So I was like, well, I'll just use the bathroom in the trailer, which is like the the head people are in the trailer. So I just said, well, you know what? I'll use the bathroom in the trailer. I won't say anything, and they'll get tired of seeing me, and they'll get me a bathroom, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a real like hierarchy on a construction site, and so people who don't get dirty don't want to see the people who get dirty, and they definitely
What?
don't want to share bathrooms. Yeah, there's a real hierarchy. There's a real class hierarchy
Hmm.
on a construction
Hmm.
site.
Hmm.
So I just didn't say anything, and I just went and used the bathroom, and nobody said anything to me. And then one day, someone was like, "Oh, can we help you?" And I said, "No, I'm just using the restroom because there's not one provided for me on site." Um, and they were like, "There's not." And so nobody had even thought about it. Like no one had thought about that there was no porta potty for me, right? And so that was interesting, I guess, coming to a site. And then I think I kind of just treated it like CrossFit because I was breastfeeding at the time, and so I was a little overweight, and I was like, well, I can get paid to do CrossFit. I can dig a ditch, and like they people are paying for this. People are paying to move tires. I was moving like pallets and pallets and pallets of concrete, and I was like, this is just like CrossFit and I'm getting paid for it. This is great. Like, it's not a big deal. So I didn't think of it as being the only because I was so like engrossed in learning. I think that later it turned into a thing because when I wanted to learn some more, I was kind of nervous about that.
Hmm.
So
Okay, you know what? You said something that was really that stuck out to me. You mentioned your father maybe 4 or 5 times. All right.
mhm.
So, and I want to touch on that, but one thing I want to hit on is, do you think by having him in your life help you to understand the importance of not necessarily being a job snob? What I mean by that is you wasn't afraid to get dirty. Said, look, I can go and do this. Boom, 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 boom. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, my dad provided for us through the trades, right? Like we lived a good life through the trades. My uncles are tradesmen. So while I went to college, I went to tier one universities, right? Whatever, but that was paid for with blue collar money, right? Like, whatever I had at that school was paid for by my dad waking up and going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I don't think of the trades as less than. I have never thought of the trades as less than. Um, I do think that they are a vehicle, and it's hard, right? It's a very weird thing because class in our society downplays blue collar work, right? It downplays anything that is not suit and tie. But I knew that my friends' parents made less money than my dad. I knew that, right? Like, so what? And at the same time, there's like a level of intelligence in order to take something that is 2D and make it 3D, right? The level of intelligence that it takes to look at a piece of paper and build what is on that piece of paper.
Hmm.
And everybody can experience that now in IKEA, right? IKEA gives you a box. You trying to put something together. You talk about they gave me extra screws. They did not give you extra screws.
You missing something somewhere.
Oh
You
man.
missing something. And so, and my dad's like one of the smartest people I know, right? Like just really, really intelligent. So I never thought of it as less than or whatever. I just was like, well, this is the path, right? And the path is the path. And excellence can be at any, I don't know, like so our house, our model, right? Like is maximum effort, right? So we need to operate in excellence. I was an athlete, right? And actually, my brothers, we're all athletes, right? We all played on a collegiate level. We're athletes, right? But our house was you are a student athlete, and
Mhm,
so academics is just as important as
mhm.
the athletic part because the athletic part is slavery. That's slavery, right? Using your body for money. That's slavery. And it's okay. right? As long as you know that you're really there to be a student. And so our house was really built around excellence in a learning capacity. And so I guess like whatever you're learning, you're just learning it, but just be excellent at it, because excellence is always going to bring money, right? Excellence just has a way of bringing money to you, because you're just the best at it. So I guess I just never thought poorly of the trades at all. I never thought poorly of being dirty. I never thought poorly of working with your hands, and not being a corporate person. Like being a corporate person is cool, but most, as far as it's kept, most people in corporate America, because I used to fire people, that was my job too. Most people in corporate America are not making over 65, 70,000. Right? That threshold is a whole new set of human beings who are making over 70,000. Because when you organize that Excel sheet, right, right, the top down, most people are not making over 70. So, people are looking down on the trades, but most people in the trades are making 90 to 100, right? Average. Like it's not a big deal.
Wish I knew how to use a screwdriver, man.
Shut up.
You can do it. I can show you.
I'll be out there quick, man.
Bro.
Question for you though, because you said you was married, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did your husband take it when you found out that you wanted to explore being an electrician?
Well, like I was always the earner in my marriage. We met when we were 17.
Okay.
And so I'm an earner. That's just who I am as a human, right? So
Wait a minute.
You said she big bang take little bang,
Bro. Hey.
if I had one, right, I'm gonna lay it on. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna lay it on.
No, you so silly.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't. It was kind of like he was upset. I think a little bit because he had finally gotten me into a position where I was a stay-at-home mom, right? And as a stay-at-home mom, I was not the earner, and that was the only time in our marriage that I wasn't the earner. So, it was a little bit of a change. I don't think that he was not supportive. He did during our divorce call me blue collar trash. That hurt a little bit.
Wait. Blue collar trash?
Blue collar trash.
Oh, this man was butthurt. What did you do with this man? Is it that you just didn't let him make the bacon? So you brought the bacon home. Did he not cook it? I mean, what the problem was?
Well, I cook too. He can't cook, so he couldn't cook.
Oh my God!
You know what?
Hold on.
It wasn't.
Hold on. Wait. No. Hey, Larry. Listen.
Come on.
Look, Larry. Look. You know what's about to happen. We might have to have this conversation. Did you cut this man PP off in front of him?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Chop him down.
No. So you know what? Seriously, to be honest, right? No, I don't. My natural home life, right? My home life. I really don't want to make any decisions. I really am like, what's this cookie recipe hitting for? I don't really know. Like, I don't want to carry no bags. I don't want to do nothing. I be at the supermarket like, that bag too heavy. I don't know. That's the juice bag. I ain't trying to, you know what I mean? No. Right? So in my private life, right? In my private life, I really look to be
submissive,
traditional. I like a traditional. I don't want to take the garbage out. I ain't really interested in a whole bunch of things that's going on. Whatever.
And there'll be 6 bags of trash in the house before my wife take it out. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'll be looking. I'm like, I guess I'm really the only one that's.
Hey, I guess it's time. I guess it's time for it to go out.
They just set up a whole nother bag next to the trash can.
Next to the.
I only do that with recycling. I do that with real trash. I'll take it out, but we're gonna all talk about why I had to take it out. Like it's gonna be a conversation. Like, hey, babe, like I took the trash out today. Did you know this? I don't know. Like it was kind of crazy. I don't know. So, but at work, I'm like, So no, I'm pretty traditional. I'm pretty traditional at home. I think that our marriage actually fell apart for financial reasons and not for earnings reasons, because he's a high earner. Like he is an attorney actually. And it fell apart just because our viewpoint on money, on accumulation, right, was very different. And we had a child much later. I have an 8-year-old, and so we had a child much later to our relationship, and so we had never combined finances. So we had a whole history without having conversations about future, right?
Mm.
Because we had never combined family. You know, we started dating when we were 17, so it was like, hey, you got your rent money, I got my rent money. It was good, and so we were living total different financial lives, and on paper, those financial lives would never have been married, right? And so, and me having a child, it kind of made it really, I don't know. I grew up hand to mouth, right? I grew up humble, and so I really am like, my child is not going to start life like that. Like I have a plan for my baby, and like this mofo is not going to be on part of the plan. So I was like, okay, I gotta leave. So in that's where the marriage broke down, and I don't think that it wasn't. It was a conversation. There were some radical actions that took place in order to make financial adjustments, and then he wasn't really part of it, because I think that you know, not to get off into like marriage, whatever, but I think that in marriage, there's always going to be a saver and there's always going to be a spender. It's the gap between those two people that really causes a problem, right? If I'm packing lunch, but you eating lobster for lunch, I don't know if we can be together, right? But if I'm packing lunch and you like, oh, I'm gonna pack, but I'm gonna buy breakfast, there might be some saving, you know. So that's what happened with my marriage. But I don't think he cared one way or the other about what my career was per se.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, look, we want to get y'all feedback. What do you think about the trades? All right. Do you think that it is, you know, above you or beneath you? Right? Do you think it's a dying field? Right? Y'all comment. Let us know what you think. Harm, Larry, man, what would y'all think, man? I mean, you know, is it something that is a dying, you know, I could say occupation, or is it something that women should try to gravitate to? What you think?
I don't think it's a dying. It can never die, because unless they do something with electricians, I mean, where they make it to where you don't need a human body attached to it, it's going to always require some sort of human element. I do think more, not just women, but even our young kids. These kids are nothing wrong with basketball, nothing wrong with rapping, being an actor. But I think having that fallback, or at least that alternate to you know, whether you're a star ball player or whatever. I mean, who says you can't open up a business for your guys, you know, and say, hey, I got
Yeah.
this electric company. Boom, you run that. I'm still gonna get my money off the back end, but I got something open for you. Or you know, need some finances, something up front. Hey, I got you, so that I'm feeding, you know, my boys from the hood, however you want to look at it. So man, listen. When I joined the Air Force, that was one of the things I wanted to do, was go into HVAC. I wanted to learn how to do HVAC, but I ended up going a different route.
You did.
So
So what you
I
think,
wanted to
Harm?
learn the trade.
Man, Clarksville, Tennessee, the city that I'm living, is going through a housing boom where there's houses getting built everywhere. So that tells me trades ain't dying no time soon. You know what I mean? We all got to live somewhere. We all need electricity. We all need HVAC. You know what I'm saying? We all need plumbing. So I don't see how HVAC anybody could ever think trades are dying. But what I do want to talk about, especially in the next segment, is do we think that we're close to seeing a work site where the majority is women, and how would that look? You know,
Yeah.
in Gabby's opinion.
Right, absolutely. And listen, shout out to everybody that's watching. Hey, y'all, let us know where y'all watching from, okay? And we want to give y'all a shout out and say thank y'all. So we do have a question up here by Miss Shantae.
No. That's my dog Shantae. That's her cousin, right?
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
Shantae,
cousin.
okay, got it. All right. So he says, all right, is it best to be in a union or freelance type of trade person?
Well, I'm a union electrician, right? I am a dues paying member of IBEW Local Union 613. And I believe that unions created the work life that we have right now. So I would never suggest that people work non-union. I would never suggest that. No one benefits from non-union except for employers. That's the only people who benefit from non-union. I think though the part B to that though is that being in the trades allows you to also govern your own skill set. So I am an electrician, period. Right? I work for the IBEW, period. But if I want to make $125 by putting in a ceiling fan, I'll go put in a ceiling fan. right? For somebody or whatever, right? And so I think that being in the trades allows you to not have a cap to your earning,
Yes.
because I can make as much money as I feel like making by working, because I have a skill set that is in demand. So my skill set doesn't change based on who is writing my check. I definitely think that non-union tradespeople are at a I don't know. Like I think that they don't realize it, but their salaries are much lower, right? Their benefits are much lower, and then they can't travel throughout the country. So I have a ticket. I guess let me see if I can find it. Union members, we have a ticket, and it's like I guess our pass, right? So if you talk to a person and they're in the trades, and then you say, oh, it's called ticket bumping. And so you get to see if the person is living what they are talking, because you get to see how much money people have paid up on their dues, right? Or if they're behind, or if they paid their death benefits. And it's
That's crazy.
yeah,
What?
it's a pass, right? So
Jeez.
we don't just you can't just become a union electrician and then be like, I'm never going to pay again, right? Like I pay my dues. This is my dues receipt, and I keep it in my wallet. So you have to keep it on you, because if you meet another tradesperson, it's how we know that we are talking to each other, right? And there's a level of respect that I have for a tradesperson that is a dues paying member.
It sounds like, listen, y'all,
It's like a
this
little
union,
ticket.
yo, it sounds like a damn like a mafia or Illuminati, like a fraternity or sorority almost.
Well, so it is. I take an oath, right? We take an oath, and our oath is to uphold the interest of our union. So we literally swear oath. I swear oath in order to be part of this union, and so my actions should be to that oath. I think though that a lot of times people don't like that, right? They don't like having accountability, but they want the benefits, but the accountability. And that oath is the accountability. So if I see another tradesperson and they are a dues paying member, I don't care what trade you are. If you are a dues paying member and I see you and you need help, I got you, right? Because we are dues paying member. This is it. So it's funny. I got a new car, and it's American, right? I got a Buick Enclave. And so people are like, oh, why'd you get a Buick Enclave? I was like, well, it's a union made car. So I can't buy stuff that's non-union, because that's against my oath, right? My oath is that I support union workers, right? So if I support union workers, I can't make a large purchase that is non-union. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
about it.
And that's super dope. But here, y'all, look, we're getting ready to go into the break, but I do appreciate what you said, because I think that part of accountability, individuals don't want that. They're more attracted to the autonomy of doing whatever it is that they want to do. But again, to your point, they want the benefits of that and say that they're in the in crowd. And real talk, they're not about that life. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a pause for the cause. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you share this, y'all. We're going to be talking about a little bit more than just the trade work. But how do you get your mind into the space of being able to elevate, right? And surround yourself with the right people. So don't go anywhere, y'all. We will be right back.
Monique Slater is a top negotiating, award-winning real estate agent in San Antonio, Texas. Her focus is on educating and empowering individuals on building general wealth through homeownership while providing exponential service with integrity and excellence. Although her heart is for serving first-time homeowners and the military community, her clientele ranges from $100,000 to $2.5 million. Monique has developed an awesome team that can get anyone into a home and has sold homes in less than 6 hours. After servicing the Air Force for over 28 years, retired Chief Slater has a massive network, so she can connect you with an awesome agent anywhere in the U.S. And if you're in San Antonio or relocating there, give Monique a call first to help you find your dream home. Give Monique a call at 210-237-7268.
One thing we can cherish during these times is family dinners. Think about it. The nice, succulent southern fried chicken, baked beans cooked to perfection, creamy macaroni and cheese, cornbread. You get the point. Come check out Kevlar's Grill, where all the meals are cooked with perfection, professionalism, and love. located outside the Scott Air Force Base back gate inside the VFW, is where you can find them. Also, they have military discount for all of our serving members. Give them a call. Their number is 618-416-5700, and that's inside Scott VFW, post 4183. And they also have Grubhub. Call them now and tell them that the Lions Den sent you. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Seth with the Lions Den. Are you or someone you know looking for a tool to help them be more accountable? Check out the Black Collar Mindset, the Art of Strategic Thinking. It's a manual to help maneuver through life strategically by holding yourself accountable every step of the way. Go to theblackcollarmindset.com to grab your copy today. Again, the website is theblackcollarmindset.com. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Let's get it together. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lions Den. Fellas, what you think, man? Fellas, what you think?
I like it, man. So far, so good. Getting the inside on this whole trade business, especially not knowing about they had the card, the ticket, the check your status type deal.
I never would have known anything about that. I think it's interesting, you know what I'm saying, having this trade talk from a woman, you know what I mean? And I'm really interested to see, you know what I'm saying, more of her experiences and what how she feels males perceive her on the work site, and get into that conversation, you know what I mean? Because it's got to be quite interesting, you know what I'm saying, when you think about the dynamics of what goes on out there in the quote unquote field. I mean, you guys should know, y'all were CE. I was in the kitchen for my career, so let's get into that convo.
Yeah, man. Same here. And then also, too, man, I think that it's important to touch on how she said being growing up being protected was, and how she carried herself a certain way, and that's what she expect. You get what I mean? So, but ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to give it back up, bringing back Miss Gabby to the stage. Yeah. Hey, and look, also too, shout out to everybody that's tuning in. If y'all sharing this, we appreciate it. Hey, shout out to Biloxi, right, Mississippi. I see y'all in Shiloh and St. Louis, wherever y'all at. Let us know, right? We'll give y'all a happy shout out, right? Because we appreciate y'all and what you do. So, ma'am, oh my goodness, you know what? Go ahead, Herm. I want you to hit that question up, man.
Hey, so in the pre-talk, we spoke about how males probably perceive you on the workforce. And I'm actually taking a little bit of Larry shine right here, because it was talk about how, you know, males might have seen you as, this is the reason why she came up, or she got that because of this. Can you speak a little bit about that, the difficulties that you might have had to navigate through being a female, especially a Black female, in this career field, about what people might think about you in certain instances?
You're muted. There you go.
Sorry about that. I think that a lot of times when women come to male-dominated spaces to work, right? There's a perception that we're not going to work, especially as a physical job. So that we're physically less than. And so we're not going to work, or we came to find a husband, or I don't know, right? All these preconceived notions. So I think that when I arrived, I'm sure people thought that I was not going to work, that I kind of was just going to be kind of dainty and cutesy, and maybe for the streets, right? Because there's an element of that as well that happens. And so I'm not. So those things kind of fell by the wayside for me. And I just started working and excelling. I think that my natural disposition is to work very, very hard. So it's not ever going to be a situation where I'm not doing the most, right? Like, I'm going to do the most. Mm-hmm. And I came to learn the job. And so I didn't want people to do the job for me, and the physical aspect, right? Because I think that sometimes people don't know what it means to be an industrial electrician, but I'm literally building a building, right? I'm building the infrastructure. The electrical part comes way later, right? The first part is building the infrastructure that will allow me to then pull wire and make taps and create electricity. But there's an infrastructure part that happens. So I'm digging ditches, I'm running pipe, I'm just doing all kind of heavy things, right? On a slab. I usually do slab work. Slab work is when there is no building and you're creating the building, right? So that's one of the most difficult types of construction work because you're out in the elements. There is no elevator. There is no. So I'm carrying bundles of pipe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so there were times where I would pick up a bundle of pipe and the whole slab would get silent, right? Because I would pick up 2 bundles of pipe, which is they're heavy, right? It's 200 feet of pipe, and I pick up one, it get a little quiet. I pick up the second one, everything gets silent, right? So it's like I'm gonna do my job. Like I don't know what to tell y'all. So yeah, so I would say that I do think that men also want there to be a wage ghetto for women, right?
Mm.
So if there's a wage ghetto, then you don't have to fight that hard for your position just because you have a penis and you will make $100,000, right? But if there is no wage ghetto, I compared a lot to when Black people started playing basketball. You ever remember that? Like
Mhm.
it used to be a peach basket, and there was a whole bunch of white guys, and they were okay, right? Not very athletic, but as soon as Black people started playing, you had to be really good to play basketball now,
Mhm.
right? You weren't just going to start because you were 6'3". That wasn't going to be a baseline, and I think that's where we are in construction as well, where it's like being a man is not enough.
Mm.
Right, you're gonna have to be excellent too. So I think that's scary for everybody. Like I understand the fear. Like I'm not. I guess I'm not naive to that, right? Because I understand the fear. I understand the fear of not being able to feed your family. Like I understand that. So there's gonna be a little bit of animosity, I guess. Let me get the word I use.
No, that makes sense. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you the question about the culture, but you kind of already hit on it. The transition coming from corporate America into the construction piece, where you're like, no kidding, on the job site in the elements. My military career is the opposite of yours. I was in the elements when I started off, and then I went into the office space. And going into the office space is different because I can't say and talk and do certain things because now I'm around, the higher up. It's different than being with the guys or the gals that's on my flight where there's no higher up. So my question to you is you kind of spoke on it a little bit, but I want you to really go into details about the culture that you experienced. Like, did you feel like you had to put on a mask and like excel and I know you say you excel anyway because that's what you strive to do, but do you feel like being the only female on that site, like you really had to prove yourself to be accepted by the other guys?
Well, I think no. How can I say this? I can only do my best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really operate in that space where I leave it all on the field. So if my best isn't enough, it's just not enough, right? Because sometimes you are in a situation and you gave your best and it wasn't enough and you just can't compete, right? So I don't feel as though I need to put on for the city. Like I'm gonna put on, and it's if it's enough, it's enough. If it's not, then I understand it's not the place for me. I think from switching because I was in finance and finance is also male dominated. I think switching actually it wasn't so different, right? There's just no HR. So men in general, I don't want to, act like all men, right? I try not to speak in totality. But when you get clusters of men together, they kind of act the same, right? So they act the same. There is a sexuality violence, right? There's a there's a penis as a weapon element for the lower ones, right?
Wait a
And then
minute.
What is that?
yeah,
What?
yeah. So for the lower the skill set, the more violence you're going to experience. So when a guy wants to hypersexualize me, I immediately know he's probably a shitty electrician.
Gotcha.
Right. So it that's just the way it is. In finance, it's the same way. The dude who is throwing up the least numbers wants to sexualize me. right? Because that's the only difference that we have, right? The only difference that we have is that I'm a woman and you're a man. And so a lot of women don't have the comfort level of being a sexual human. And so there's a shame, right? There's a shame that comes with womanhood and sexuality. I don't really have that. Like if I'm a busted wide open, I'm a busted wide open. Okay, whatever, like whatever. But you know what I mean? Okay, but so you can't really shame me. You can't say things. Yeah, you can't say things to me that are hypersexual, and then I shrink back, right? Because there's a lot of penis talk, and my favorite line after there's a lot of penis stuff, like everybody's talking about their penis, but ain't nobody pulling them out. Like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, let's see. Like, if we're gonna measure dicks, let's measure dicks. And we can get it all, we can get it out in the open, right? We all know that you're not gonna pull it out, but it's a whole bunch. And when I say there's a whole bunch of dick talk, I mean actual penis talk, right? There's a lot of, you know, hypersexualized conversation on a construction site. Yeah. But nobody's doing nothing. So shut up and do your job. Right? Like, you know, but a lot of women get like skittish about that, right? So it's like, oh, you know, he told me to suck his whatever, right? And
hold on, wait a minute.
Man, they need some SARC training.
Oh, please. Hey,
they don't even know what that is.
Hey,
there's no HR in construction.
Right.
Like,
and that's what I'm and so it got my HR tinglings. I'm like, wait a minute, what type of conversations happening over here? They talking about go pull it out. Bet you won't. You know what I mean? What did y'all do?
I bet you won't. And you know, I mean, it's really the Wild Wild West. I think it's the last frontier of a workplace where there is no oversight, right? There's really no oversight. Because I'll say this too, and like I say, like because I'm a woman, I think that people think that I'm experiencing things that people aren't experiencing. But there's a hierarchy within men, right? So the same sexual violence I'm experiencing, the lower men who are quote unquote not manly enough are also experiencing the same sexual violence. So I think that men don't complain about it. And so when you think sexual harassment, you think there's going to be a woman. But I've seen some crazy things happen with men who, you know, dominant men versus subservient men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you really let him touch you? Like, right. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like hazing almost.
Terry Crews on.
Yeah, it's hazing.
It's hazing. And so that's what I'm trying to say. I think that when we talk about it, we always think that there's female and male, but no, there's certain kind of man who is going to be aggressive and he is going to use his penis as a weapon, right? And so the jokes and the abuse is going to be sexual in nature. Right? It's scary, right? Because I think that, you know, I'm not a small woman, but I'm still a woman, right? So if this big dude is like talking about he's going to do whatever to me, then there's a possibility that he's going to win, right? Like, it's a possibility he's going to win. And so now you have to navigate that situation, I think, in a way that still allows you to do your job. And maybe that's the difference, I think, of corporate America or whatever, that you can probably go to HR and the HR talk about it. But the consequences for going to HR are still the same as they would be on a job site, right? Because in reality, the complainer is going to be dealt with more than the person who is the aggressor, especially if the aggressor is a producer. So that's really what you have to think about. Like, is this person who's harassing me, are they a producer or are they not a producer? So if they're a producer, I'm going to handle it one way. If they're not a producer, I'm going to handle it another way. Because, you know, I also think there's a lot like prison. It's a, you know, where you got to pick the biggest one and then you got to son them. And I'm going to son you. Like, I don't have a problem doing it, right? Like, I have no problem doing it because you came for me, I didn't come for you. So there's that. I do think, though, that if women want to enter the trade, they're going to have to kind of build up their tolerance for shit talking. For shit talking, right? Because men are talking to each other that way. So when you enter into someone else's home, right? And for all intents and purposes, I don't think that construction is a male job, but I do think it's male dominated. So you enter into someone else's home and you're expecting the culture to change for me, right? If it's 500 people and I'm only one and I expect the culture to change for me, that's probably not going to happen as fast as I want it to happen. So now we have to say, well, were they talking to me? You know, because a lot of stuff that gets solved if you mind your business. You know what I mean? Like, mind your business. They were not talking to me. I didn't have nothing to do with it, whatever. And then at the same time, you just put your foot down, right? Where it's like, you can't talk to me crazy. You can't have a sexual conversation with me because I don't do that, right? You just can't. I don't care what your wife does. I don't care what your girlfriend does because she's not me. So,
Mhm.
you know, I can't just come to work or whatever. And then you also have to like perfect walking off. You have to do that, right? Like you have to be able to say this conversation is for dudes. They getting way too graphic for me to be a part of this conversation. Because even just standing there is complicitness, right? So
Mhm.
I need to walk away because I don't want them to think that they can
Yes,
have this
yeah.
conversation with me.
Mm.
So there's that. From that, I think that the nature of being in a male dominated place, the conversations, you know what, it's a lot like comedians, right? Like you have your levels of comedian where you have your comedians that only tell sex jokes. Then you have your comedians that tell like race jokes. Then you have like the
Mhm.
social commentary.
Mhm.
I think it's a lot like that, right? So you got to say, okay, well, I don't want to hang with this kind of person, or I don't want to hang with this kind of person, or whatever. And then also just finding people who are doing their job in excellence, because a lot of times the people who are doing their job in excellence do not
Talk as
Entertainer.
much.
deal.
Yeah.
No, they don't talk
They,
as much, and they definitely don't talk about that kind of stuff.
yeah. They got a
Gosh.
respect for the whole workplace. So,
Yeah.
so my follow-up question to that would be: we talked about it backstage, where you were talking about for I don't want to say just for you, but for women in that trade, that you may have to watch how much you smile and giggle at jokes and things like that because you don't want to get this perception. You don't want rumors to start. Can you kind of hit on what you were talking about when we talked about backstage?
I think in general, I'm a naturally happy person, right? Just in general. So I'm
Hmm.
usually smiling. I got a joke for you. I have a really good memory. So I'll remember that you went on vacation or I'll remember whatever. But the issue is that we're not friends. And so I need to be able to have a level of aloofness that you don't know anything about me, even though I was very nice to you. And because the comfort, because we work in an environment where you are very close to people, your body is moving, right? Like you are in prone positions, right? Like your
Hmm.
body, I don't know how much people really recognize that when you're building something, right? You are bent over, you are straddling to somebody, you are close, you are touching each other, right? To help each other build something. It's heavy. The stuff is heavy, right? And so I need you to know that we're not cool. You don't
Hmm.
know me. So don't don't uh don't think that we about to have these extra uh private conversations. Don't think that I'm gonna stand around while you corner me kind of thing. Because I think men use their body as intimidation, right? So there's a lot of like getting you in positions where you can't get away from somebody. You know what I mean? It's like weird. And so I really try hard to not get in those positions where if I don't know you, I don't talk to you, right? Like hey, how you doing? But I'm not stopping. I'm not. I'm not getting into conversations with strangers. And even if I'm standing in a group of people that I do know, right, and I feel comfortable with, and somebody I don't know walks up, then I walk away because the conversation can turn at any point, and now we having this like super intimate conversation, and I'm a part of it, and I don't want to be a part of it. So I think that has really worked for me. I don't know what other women are doing on job sites or whatever, but that has really been a good place for me to be, right? To be nice and whatever, but not approachable. Where like
You know,
don't think that.
no, no, no. I think that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes individuals take that as you just being an asshole, if you will,
Mhm.
right? And like you just being standoffish. But no, it's not that. It's just I have a clear, defined boundary, right? That I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to placate. I'm not here to do A, B, C, and D. And that does not mean that I don't want to have a good working relationship. But the unfortunate part is, and maybe you can talk about this, the unfortunate part is when individuals don't play that game, if you get what I'm saying, right? If
Mhm.
they're not uh laughing when the quote unquote alpha is making a joke, because that alpha individual, male or female, has a direct impact or a better working relationship, that they have a certain level of influence, if that makes sense, right?
Mhm.
With the, either department head or even the foreman or whatever the case it is. So it's kind of expected for you to giggle. It's kind of expected for you to come to this this potluck that you really don't want to go
Mhm.
to. You get what I'm saying? How do you navigate around that?
But I think that's why I really just try to master the step off, right? So it's not that I'm not even there to laugh. I wasn't even there for the joke. So you don't know if I find it funny or not, right? Like, and I'm actually really hilarious. Like in general, I'm a funny person, but I really just try hard to not even be there when things turn crazy. So it's like, oh, Gabby wasn't there. You missed that, girl. You missed everything. Yes, I do. I miss it because I'm working. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that there is, I promise you that most of the people in senior management do not want to see you standing around telling jokes anyway. That's like, for us, work hours are really important, right? So we price our job by how long something will take an efficient journeyman to put in. So if the efficient journeyman starts telling jokes and the joke takes 15 minutes, that's a quarter of an hour. That's very expensive, right? Because he's usually holding up uh, 4 other journeymen, right? So now you really eating into the cash, right? So
Mhm.
really, you don't want to be a part of that anyway, just from optics, right? Just from optics, you don't want to be part of the laughing crew to start with. But I also think that I really, my work product is excellent, right? Like I'm not humble about that. I don't bite my tongue about it. It's excellent. And so it's undeniable. You might hate me. There's a lot of people who hate me. Like, I'm not going to act like people don't hate me. They hate, not me personally, but they hate who I am, right? Like, I am a Black woman. What? Ugh. But I'm an excellent electrician. So they'll call me too, right? Because when you get stuck, you get stuck. And like I said, the work hours are ticking away. You got to get an answer, right? So there are people who actually, can't stand me. You know, that's okay.
They give you a call anyway. You just opened my mind to something that makes a lot of sense, and it tells me why Larry got out of CE. I didn't know that them dudes was out there straddling each other like that. So Larry,
Not why I got out.
I see why Will stayed in there, stayed in the fight, man.
Me and her had the same attitude. We weren't playing them
One
games.
straddle, I'm out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm out.
Hey man,
Well, you know
You ain't
what's
got to
funny?
screw nothing in that bad on you.
You know what's funny? That men sanitize it by calling it horseplay.
Nah.
And no, I'm not
What?
joking.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm there, yeah.
yeah, it's sanitized, and men call it horseplay,
Not
but
the
it's
kid.
sexual harassment. And so it's crazy, right? Because the jokes, the horseplay jokes, it's a lot of feely. It's a lot of grappling.
Yeah,
It's a lot of touching, right? But they call it horseplay, and it's not horseplay.
Mhm.
I don't find anything funny about it, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think the sanitation of it for men, right? When you're dealing with a whole group of men, they don't want to talk about the weird part of it. But I'm like, that's really kind of weird if you really think about it. You know, like, why are you touching it?
I do have a question about something I wanted, but again, props to you, Larry, for getting up out of there. Being a foreman, right? For people that are not in trades, what does that mean? And you said you're the only Black female foreman,
Only female.
only female,
Period, right? Yes.
foreman. So
Mhm.
what does that mean? And when you got that position, how did things change for you? And how did what I'm saying? How did that dynamic switch?
Well, so a foreman is the person on the job site who is running the job site, right? So you get the prints, you interpret the prints into power needs, right? And then you say, well, okay, these are the needs that we have, and this is the infrastructure that needs to be built in order to make that happen. And then every morning I do it for a week, right? But every week I have a goal set in order to make sure that I meet my dates. So I have dates that I have to meet for inspections. And so basically I choose the people that I think are best at whatever job I need done, and then I explain to them what I need done, and then they do it, right? So that's how that works. So it's field, right? So there's in construction, there's a field person, the person who's actually on the job site and putting in the job site, and then there's back office support. And so my back office support would be the engineers, would be prefab, would be manpower. They would offer me all the support that I need in order to get the job done in the field. When I became a foreman, I've been running work since I was like second year apprentice, so it wasn't really that strange for people to take direction from me. But what I did notice was different was that other women in the trades came to me to say, well, how did you do that? You know, that kind of thing. So people were more interested in that. How did I do it? Right. And like, what steps did I take? I think I haven't really run, and I'll be honest, I don't think that my experience is normal. Right. But I haven't run into situations where people didn't want to be under my direction. Mostly because the journeymen that I had are the best journeymen in our local, right? And they vouch for me. So once they vouch for me, nobody is going to say any different because they wouldn't put their reputation on the line for no bullshit, right? You know what I mean? So it's like people are like, oh, well, such and such said you were dope, so fine, I'll work for you. Or I just built a Google office building, right? And so I call people to come off the road, which was a big deal, right? It's a big deal to call people back home because you make a lot of money on the road. So I call people and I say, hey, I need you, and I need you to come home, right? Like I need you. And so they came off the road, and it turned into this big deal. Like, how did this little Black girl call journeyman and get them to come home and work for her for less money, right? And I think that part of the issue is, one, I was their apprentice, so they are vested in my success, right? But then two, I really, as a foreman, I try hard to not ask anybody to do something that I would not do. Right. And if I get into a situation that I think is a little too sticky, I'm gonna do it myself. Right. I'm never gonna make you risk your life, and I wouldn't risk my own life. I'm really, really careful. I plan out jobs very carefully. I don't play around with people's safety. You're gonna go home exactly how you came here, right? And that's really important. I think sometimes people don't realize that, like, our job is so dangerous, right? That's what when we come to work, we are hoping that we go home. Right. And so when you work under a bad foreman, you don't know if you're going home because they didn't plan to work. So when you don't plan to work, you get in weird situations and stuff like that. So I think people trust my leadership. And then also, I really believe in collaborative leadership, and I believe in servant leadership. So I trust your skill set too, right? You are a professional. And so I'm trying to be collaborative, where I have the framework and our parameters. And then I'm saying the art part is up to you though, right? Like, there's a part of our job that's art, and the art is up to you. But these are our parameters, and this is what I want to see. And then also, if we get to a point, I'm not asking you to solve problems for me. Right. I work a lot. I work really hard. And so I'm not asking you to solve the problem. I solved the problem. Right. I've done the job. And so now I need you to do that. So I think that, like, people respect my leadership style. It's also very different than most foremen. I think some of it is because I'm a woman and I don't have the ego part involved. And so it's not like a situation where I feel like I got to show you I'm better than you, because I don't actually think I'm better than you. I think we all are bringing some skill set to this collaboration, right? We are a team. I play sports all my life. And so I really think that everybody is bringing something. Not everybody's going to be, a wide receiver, right? Sometimes they don't call for a wide receiver. Sometimes I need to get blocked, right? I need somebody who's going to run some D for me, right? So it's like, everybody has a position, and it's up to me in leadership to understand someone's strengths and then mold them to that strength. And I think that is why I'm a good foreman, and also, like, this is funny, right? But people love pizza and wings, and I'll buy pizza and wings. Like, I got you, right?
Oh my God.
I'm there.
Already.
And I pay for it, exactly. And I pay for it out of my own money, right? Because I make more money than them. So I pay for it out of my own money. And the reason why I don't use company money for it is because I'm saying thank you. Do you know what I mean? Like, the thank you is coming from me. It's coming from my pocket. It's not coming from the company or whatever. This is coming from me. I'm grateful for y'all. And so because of that, my team is usually dope. They usually go to the end of the world for me. And we change all the time, right? It's project based.
Mhm.
So we change all the time. And so it's a running joke in our company or whatever, where everybody's like, why everybody want to work for Gabby? Why everybody want to, and I'm thinking, and you just buy some donuts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get some people together. So yeah, I don't think it's been difficult for me from that standpoint. I do have a mentor that was very difficult for her. But I think that her management style is different than mine. And her and I talk about this a lot. Because she felt like she had to prove herself. She's older than me, so I think she came in at a different time as well, and so she felt as though she had to prove herself, and so she got into these like weird, contentious relationships with the guys. And I'll tell you, to be honest, something I have noticed that men will break you. That's really it. Even if they don't say anything, even if they say yes, they really gonna break you though. They it's like I'm mad and I'm gonna break you. I might not be bold enough to say it to your face, but I'm gonna make your life a living hell, and you know what I mean? You won't get your job accomplished. And that's something I noticed, just kind of watching, like, oh, even with other men, right, where men talk to men crazy and then they wonder why they can't get the job done. And so I really just try hard to speak to people with respect, to respect people's skill sets, and then also not to beat my chest, right? Like, I'm pretty accomplished. I'm pretty, I'm highly degreed. I have a lot of certs, but I don't bring it up because it's not germane to the conversation. Like, we ain't talking about that. We talking about this 4-inch pipe. How you gonna do that? You know what I mean? And then bigger than that, I'm not strong enough to do some of the things that I need done, right? Physically, like I physically cannot do it, right? There's like service, and service wire is really, really big, and I can pull it, right? But I cannot bend it to terminate it. It's very, very difficult. Like, it'll take like 4 grown men to bend it, right? And so I'm not gonna talk crazy to you while you doing that. What I'm gonna do is like, would you guys like a water? I got some ice. Can I help you in any way? You know what I mean? Like, do y'all need a fan? Like, what we need, right? Because in my role right there is support, because I cannot do the job, even though I'm asking you to do it. You see what I'm saying? So like, I think that like there has to be a realization that some things I'm not gonna be able to do, and I need you, and I want you to know that I need you. Like, please know that I need you. You know, like I'm not, so
You know what?
yeah.
I would say this too, because we're getting short on time, but I really do think that we should continue this conversation in not just another time, but tabling that and what that looks like as far as a need and a want with individuals in your, if that makes sense, right? But
For
hey,
sure.
Larry, man, what you got, man, for your final word, brother?
Yeah, final word is, Miss Gabby, thank you for your time, taking the time
Oh,
out to
thank y'all
join the
so much.
show and provide that insight into your world, the trade world that I am so humbly trying to get my oldest son into, because he don't understand the benefits that come into it. But
Tell him,
also,
call me.
I am. But also, what I want to point out is all of us, even the guys that's not on, have daughters, and so you are a huge influence when my daughter will watch this, and she's not thinking about being an electrician, but knowing that she can, and there's someone out there that's already kind of paved that way for you. So
Yep.
thank you.
Super dope. Absolutely. Go ahead, Big Herm.
Straight up echo everything Larry said. You know what I mean? Want to thank you for coming on, spending your time with us, because a lot of people don't really think about women in trades. You know, I personally know another woman that's an electrician, another black woman that I grew up with here. So I knew it was possible. But I never really talked to her about what her trials and tribulations were, and being able to talk to you about it, it made me appreciate more of what you guys go through in order to provide us, with our homes and other buildings. So thank you for coming on and sharing your life with us.
Absolutely. And look, before I give you your last moment, I just want to let everybody know we appreciate y'all being on, and let us know if y'all think we should have a part 2 and redirect this conversation with Miss Gabby, right? Y'all just let us know. Put hashtag part 2. So, Miss Gabby, what is one last message you would like to give to our audience?
That the trades are for everyone, and that you can really make a different life for your family in the trades. So please sign up with your local unions. If you guys are interested in the IBW, I'll check the chats or whatever, and I'll look for the local unions that are in your neighborhood, your city or whatever. But the trades are for everybody. It's not about being educated or not educated or whatever. So.
Okay. Well, look, thank you for being on, ma'am. We appreciate it. Yeah. Man was dropping constant bombs. Bow, bow, bow. I need to change my sound effects. You know what I'm talking about? Because that was super, super dope. But thank you for being on. And most importantly, everybody that's watching right now, thank y'all for watching us, being engaged. And make sure you're here again next week. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, because we will be doing different things very, very, very soon. And we would not be able to do it if it wasn't for your support, love, and appreciation. So whatever it is that you are getting ready to go do, make sure you go do it, and do it safely. Right on. And if you need an electrician, you know who to call. Right on. Right on. We will see y'all soon. One.
All right. Thank you.